Hello, this is another reading from the Book of Magic Animals by Ruth Manning-Sanders, and this is the third story. It's an African story, the book doesn't specify which country in Africa, but African, called Mainu the Frog. It was Kiman, the son of Kimanze, and he would take a wife. Would he take an earthly maiden? No, he would not. He would take the daughter of Lord Sun and Lady Moon, because once when she was looking down out of the heavens, Kiman had seen her face looking up at him out of a pool, and she was very lovely, white and golden with the blue of the sky all around her, and since that day he could think of no one else. So he called Eagle to him, and said, "You, far flyer, will you carry a message to Lord Sun?" Eagle said, "No, I will not." Then Kiman called Antelope to him and said, "You, swift runner, will you carry a message to Lord Sun?" Antelope said, "No, I will not." Then Kiman asked animal after animal and bird after bird, but none of them would carry his message. Now he was in despair. He went to sit on the bank of a pond. He said, "Since no one will carry my message, I may as well drown myself." Then Mainu the Frog scrambled up out of the water and said, "You haven't asked me to carry your message." Kiman said, How can you get to heaven when people who have wings cannot?" Frog said, "I know the way, they do not. Write your message and bring it to me." So Kiman went home and wrote a letter saying, "I, Kiman, son of Kimanze on earth, I wish to marry the daughter of Lord Sun and Lady Moon." He brought the letter to the pond where Frog was waiting. Frog put the letter in his mouth and hopped away. He hopped for a long time. He reached the well where the people of Lord Sun and Lady Moon come down from heaven to fetch water, and he got into the well and kept quiet. By and by, the girls, the water carriers, came down from heaven. They came down by a cobweb that Spider had woven. They were carrying empty water jugs. They put the jugs in the well, and Frog got into one of them. The girls filled their jugs. They didn't know that Frog was in one of them. They lifted the full jugs out of the well and carried them back up the cobweb to heaven. Frog went with them, hidden in the jug. In a room in the palace of Lord Sun and Lady Moon, the girls, the water carriers, put down the jugs on the floor and went away. Frog was swimming round in his jug. Now he came out of it. There was a table in the room. Frog jumped up on the table and spat the letter out of his mouth. He left the letter lying on the table and went to hide in the corner of the room. By and by, in came Lord Sun. He drank some of the water. He looked on the table, saw the letter. He called the girls. "This letter, who brought it?" "Master, we don't know." The girls went away. Lord Sun opens the letter. He reads, "I, Kiman, son of Kimanze on earth, I wish to marry the daughter of Lord Sun and Lady Moon." Lord Sun thinks, "Kiman, son of Kimanze, is a man that lives on the earth. I am a man that lives in heaven. How did this letter come here?" He went away to show the letter to Lady Moon. Frog stayed in his corner. He stayed many hours. The sky people came and went. taking water from the jugs, and when all the jugs were empty, Frog took a hop and got into one of them. By and by, the girls, the water carriers, came to fetch the jugs. They went down to earth on the cobweb that Spider had woven. They came to the well and put the jugs in the water. Frog got out, stayed at the bottom of the well until the girls had refilled the jugs and gone back up on the cobweb to heaven. Then he went to call on Kiman. "Kiman, son of Kimanze, I delivered your letter, and Lord Sun read it, but he has not yet sent an answer." Kiman said, "How do I know that you are not telling lies?" Frog said, "Wait and see." Kiman waited 6 days. It seemed like 6 years. He was stamping with impatience. He wrote another letter. "Lord Sun and Lady Moon, I, Kiman, son of Kimanze, wrote to you, but you did not answer. You did not say, 'We accept you.' You did not say, 'We refuse you.' Say one or the other, that I might know whether I am to live or die." Kiman gave the letter to Frog. Frog took it in his mouth and went to hide in the well. The girls, the water carriers, came down from heaven with their jugs. They put the jugs in the water. Frog got into the water. The girls filled the jugs. They didn't see that Frog was in one of them. They lifted the full jugs out of the well and went back up on the cobweb to heaven. In a room in the palace of Lord Sun and Lady Moon, the girls, the water carriers, put down the jugs on the floor and went away. Frog came out of the jug. He jumped onto the table. He spat the letter out of his mouth. He left the letter lying on the table and went to hide in the corner. By and by, in comes Lord Sun. "What? Another letter?" He picks it up. He reads. He calls the water carriers. "You girls, since when have you taken to carrying letters about?" "Master, we have never carried letters." Lord Sun is troubled. He writes a letter. "Kiman, son of Kimanze, you who send me letters about marrying my daughter, how can I agree before I know you? Come yourself, bring with you the first present. When I know you, I can say yes." Lord Sun lays his letter on the table. He goes away. Frog comes out of his corner where he is hiding, climbs up onto the table, takes the letter in his mouth and creeps into an empty water jug. People come and go, taking water from the jugs. When all the jugs are empty, the girls, the water carriers, come in to fetch them. They go down with the jugs to earth by the cobweb Spider has woven. The girls come to the well. They put the jugs in the water. Frog gets out of his jug and goes to the bottom of the well. The girls, the water carriers, fill all the jugs and go back up the cobweb to heaven. Frog comes out of the well. It is now night. Frog goes to Kiman's house and knocks on the door. Flim, flam, flim, flam. Kiman is in bed. He calls, "Who knocks?" Frog says, "Mainu the Frog." Kiman opens the door. Frog gives him the letter. Kiman reads, leaps for joy. He says, "Frog, take what you will from my larder. Sleep anywhere in my house that pleases you. I will go back to my bed. Tomorrow we will decide upon the first present." Frog went to Kiman's larder. He didn't like what he found there. But he drank some milk and he slept where it was cool and pleasant in the draught from the door. In the morning, Kiman put 40 pearls into a bag. He also wrote a letter. This is what he wrote. "To you, Lord Sun and Lady Moon, I, Kiman, son of Kimanze, send the first present, but I myself do not bring it, because I must stay at home to get together the wooing present. You then sent to tell me the amount of the wooing present, and you shall have it." Kiman laid the letter on top of the bag that held the pearls and said, "Frog, carry this bag to Lord Sun as a first present." Frog said, "My mouth is scarcely big enough to carry it." Kimon said, "You must carry it." So Frog opened his mouth wide, wide, and stuffed the bag into it. Now he couldn't speak, he could only grunt. He went to the well and hid the girls. The water carriers came down from heaven by the cobweb. They put the jugs in the water. Frog got into a jug. His jaws were aching. He took the bag out of his mouth and tucked it under his arm. The girls fill all the jugs. They go back up to heaven. In a room in the palace of Lord Sun and Lady Moon, they put down the jugs on the floor and go away. Frog comes out of the jug, jumps onto the table, lays down the bag of pearls and the letter, and goes to hide in the corner of the room. By and by in come Lord Sun and Lady Moon, walking arm in arm. They drink water. Lord Sun looks on the table. He says, "Again, a letter." He reads the letter, opens the bag, sees the pearls. He says, "Who is it comes with these things? I have never seen him. I don't know his name or what he looks like. But he has come a long way. He must be hungry and should be fed." Lady Moon said, "I will cook a chicken and some sweet corn and leave it here on the table." "Yes, you do that," Lord Sun said. They went away. Very soon Lord Sun came back with a letter he had written. The letter said, "Thou, son-in-law, the first present which thou hast sent me I have received. The amount of the wooing present which thou shalt give me is a sack of gold." Lord Sun put the letter on the table and went away. The time passed. The sky people came and went, fetching water from the jugs until all the jugs was empty. Then in came Lady Moon, carrying 2 dishes, in the one fried chicken, in the other sweet corn. She set the dishes on the table and went away. Frog came out of his corner, jumped on the table. He ate the sweet corn and left the chicken. He took the letter Lord Sun had written, came down from the table, jumped into an empty jug. Now he was tired. He fell asleep. He was still sleeping when the girls, the water carriers, came to fetch the empty jugs. He was still sleeping when they carried the jugs down to earth by the cobweb spider had woven. He only woke when the girls put the jugs into the well. Then he got out of his jug and hid. The girls filled their jugs and carried them back up the cobweb to heaven. Frog came out of the well and went to Kimon's house. He knocked, flim flam, flim flam. "Who knocks?" "Mainu the Frog." "Come in." Frog went in. He gave Kimon Lord Sun's letter. Kimon read it. He rejoiced. He said, "It will take me 6 days to collect a sack of gold." Frog said, "When you have collected it, who is to carry it to heaven?" Kimon said, "You." Frog said, "I cannot carry it. I am not big enough." Kimon raved and said, "Frog, Frog, will you fell me now? I will not live another day." Frog said, "Calm yourself. Collect the money. I, Mainu the Frog, am not easily beaten. Give me a piece of gold and I will find a way of getting the sack to heaven." Kimon the Frog gave Frog a piece of gold, and Frog went away. He went to call on Omari, the medicine man. It took him 3 days to get to Omari's house. When he got there, he gave Omari the piece of gold, and in return Omari taught Frog 2 spells. One to make big things small, and the other to make small things big. He also taught Frog 2 ways of breathing. One to make blind, the other to make see again. Then Frog went back to Kimon and said, "Is the wing present, the sack of gold, ready?" Kimon said, "Yes, it is." Frog said, "Bring it here." Kimon brought it. It was 40 times as big as Frog. But Frog put his hands on it and said the first spell that Omari had taught him. The spell to make things small. And the sack shrunk till it was no bigger than Frog's thumb. Kimon was frightened. He cried out, All my gold is shrunk away. Now I have nothing to offer to Lord Sun. But Frog said, Stupid. You have plenty to offer. I will show you how much, he said the second spell. Umari had taught him, and the sack swelled out to its proper size. Then he said the first spell again, and the sack shrunk. Frog put the sack in his mouth and was hopping away when Kimon said, Stop, stop! You may indeed carry the wooing present, but who will bring back the bride? Frog said, Have I failed you yet? Kimon said, No. Frog said, Neither will I fail you now. And he went away. He went to the well. The girls, the water carriers, came. They filled their jugs. They went back up on the cobweb to heaven. They did not know that Frog was in one of the jugs. The girls set down the jugs in the room of the water. Frog gets out of his jug. He hides in a corner. He waits until Lord Sun and Lady Moon have gone to bed. Now it is night. All sleep except Frog. Frog comes out of the room of the water. He searches here, searches there. He comes to the room where the daughter of Lord Sun and Lady Moon is sleeping. He hops onto her pillow. He breathes on her eyes. He breathes the first way Umari, the medicine man, had taught him, the way to make blind. Then he goes back to the room of the water, hides in his corner, and sleeps. Now comes morning. All the people get up, but the daughter of Lord Sun and Lady Moon does not get up. They say, What? Do you not get up? She says, My eyes are closed. I cannot see. They call Lord Sun and Lady Moon. They come. They say, What is this? Daughter, open your eyes. She says, I cannot. Lord Sun called 2 messengers. He said, Take offerings of meat and jewels and go to my wizard, where he sits on his cloud. Ask him the meaning of our daughter's sickness. Ask him also the cure. The messengers take the offerings of meat and jewels. They set off. They come to where Lord Sun's wizard sits on his cloud. They bow low. They present the offerings, and the wizard says, What do you want of me? The messengers answer, The eyes of the daughter of Lord Sun and Lady Moon are shut and will not open, therefore she cannot see. We would know how to open her eyes that she may see again. The wizard said, The maiden is promised in marriage, but not married. The longing of him to whom she is promised has caused this mischief. Let her be given to him, and her eyes will open. I have spoken. The messengers went back to Lord Sun and told the words of the wizard. Lord Sun said, Very well. But now it is evening, we will all sleep. Tomorrow we will send our daughter down to earth. Frog had crept close. He heard everything that was said. He went unseen into an empty jug. He was very tired. He slept soundly. In the morning, early, Lord Sun said to Spider, Weave a very large cobweb to reach the earth. For today is the taking down of my daughter to her bridegroom. So Spider began to weave a new large web. It took him all day. And in the meantime the girls, the water carriers, took the empty jugs and went down to earth by the old web. And Frog went with them in one of the jugs. The girls came to the well. They put the jugs in the water. Frog came out of the jug in which he was hidden. He stayed at the bottom of the well until the girls had filled all the jugs and gone back up the cobweb to heaven. Then he came out of the water and went to Kimon's house. He knocked. Flim flam, flim flam. Kimon, son of Kimonze, open your door, your bride, the white and gold maiden, daughter of Lord Sun and Lady Moon. Today she comes. Frog, I fear you are lying, and if you are lying, I will have your life. Master, I am truth itself, and as for your bride, this evening I will bring her. Frog went back to the well. He hid, he waited all day. When the sun sets, Spider finished, weaving his new large web, and the people of Lord Sun and Lady Moon gathered, a multitude. They came down to earth by the new large web. bringing with them the daughter of Lord Sun and Lady Moon, whose eyes were still closed. They bore her to the well, they put her down, they left her, and went back up the cobweb. She sits and weeps, seeing nothing. But Frog comes out of the well. He says, I am Mainu the Frog. I am your guide to him who loves you. He blows as Omari, the medicine man, had taught him, the breath that makes the blind see. The maiden's eyes open and she looks round her. She laughs for joy. Frog said, come. And she rose and followed him. He brought her to Kimun's house. They embraced, they married. They were very happy. And Frog said, now there is the joy of one and the joy of two, and the joy of the joy of the bridegroom. And who brought all this to pass? I, Mainu the Frog.